Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast, the official podcast of filmpulse.net. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode number 160. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing there, Kevin?
Doing alright.
This week we're taking a little trip. Taking a little trip to Italy with reviews of Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead's Spring, as well as Eugene Green's La Sapienza, both of which opened in limited release this week. Spring is available on VOD as well, so you can check it out there. We're also going to be talking about some of what we've been watching, and of course we'll be going over this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, and DVD and Blu-ray releases. Remember, you can send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net or leave us a comment on the site. We'd love to hear from you. Let's go ahead and kick things off with, do you want to start with La Sapienza?
We can do that. I love our tandem review this week.
Yeah.
It's fun times.
And I got some more Italian fun coming up later in the what we've been watching section. So
Italy.
I had a very Italian week this week, or weekend rather. It was good. Good stuff.
Oh boy.
So you're working on a review for this film right now. So I'll start it off. This as I said, is playing in limited release right now. I think maybe just New York.
I think it is just
I think it just came out in New York, so if you're in the area, you can check it out. If not, I'm imagining that it'll be on VOD at some point in the near future. I don't know. It might end up just skipping VOD. And,
we have no idea.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So it's written and directed by Eugene Green. Stars. Let me see here. Fabrizio Rongioni.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And Christelle Prott. There's no synopsis on IMDb, but I believe there is one on Letterboxd. Let me pull that up real quick. The story is one of an architect that has lost his inspiration and goes looking for those motivations that pushed him as a youngster to take up the profession. Inspiring him was the Baroque movement and all its artifices, the Guarini in Turin, and the Bromini in Rome. The film's central story ends up being the love story that develops between the architecture, artistic inspiration, and feelings. That doesn't sound like an official plot synopsis to me.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
All right, so you're working on a review for this. I'll start it off. This movie didn't. What do you think I thought of this movie? Just real quickly.
I imagine you were bored to tears.
It started off that way. There was something about this movie that kind of grabbed me towards the latter half, and then it started losing me again towards the end. But the first, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so, I was fading. I wasn't interested in the characters, and I think that's due to the style of this movie in which it was
so stilted.
Yeah, stilted
performances,
robotic
everywhere.
I would describe it as robotic, mechanical, very very mechanical, and it's like the cinematographer, they had like a blueprint, and they were like, okay, then we do this, then we do this, then we do this, then we do this, and then we repeat it over and over and over. Like, we're going to have a conversation between these two people. POV shot, back and forth.
Yes, oh my goodness. You have to keep in mind that this is extremely dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
It's almost all dialogue, except for, they take a couple breaks to kind of comb over the architecture. And the discussions between the people, it's just shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot.
And they're all looking, the people speaking look directly into the camera too. So they're looking directly at you while this is happening. But it's not just that, it's their line delivery is very, again, very mechanical. Like it's like they just read off the lines one after another.
Yeah,
there's very little emotion in this movie.
Pretty much non-existent in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which I think was deliberate because of the subject matter. Like you said, I think you're going to say is it kind of livens up
Right. Yeah.
towards the end.
Well, it livens up. There's a couple things that livened it up for me. First, there's some comedy thrown in here, which I've really appreciated. I really appreciated that levity that happens later on.
And the line delivery during that sequence is just fantastic. The way it's drawn out.
Yeah,
Oh God.
I liked that. And at the beginning of the movie, I thought, because I didn't know how this was going to be, I didn't know what the style was going to be. So at the beginning, there's a scene where the husband and wife are having a conversation with each other, and they're not even looking at each other. They're just kind of like gazing off into nothingness. Yes. And I was like, oh man, are they having marriage problems? What's going on here? What's this all about? But then I realized that that's just the style of this movie.
Yeah, that's the style.
Completely flat and emotionless. And the characters at the beginning didn't even look at each other when they were talking to each other. And I had a problem with that because, for me, emotion and characters are a big part of any movie. I understand that that's what they were going for in this movie. It was a choice to do it like that. But it just didn't work for me at first. But it does change gradually as the film goes on, and the characters start warming up to each other, and as a result, warming up to the viewer as well.
Yeah, and they are having marital problems. They're there. You just have no idea what is going on at first, and then some things start to be uncovered, especially after they run into the young brother-sister duo while they're vacationing in Italy.
Right, so I guess we should just kind of back up a little bit, and because because the synopsis doesn't really talk about what this movie. So it's basically a husband and wife. He is a very famous architect, and she is a behavioral specialist, some sort of like psychologist type, and they're both having a lot of stresses in their careers. They're both kind of at an impasse with their careers. He's got some big project that he's working on, and the people that hired him aren't into his ideas for this new project.
He's trying to completely shift his philosophy.
Yeah, right.
He wants to start a new phase, and people aren't having it. They're not on board.
They're not on board. So he and his wife are kind of like, we got to get out of here. So they take a trip to Italy. They end up meeting with this brother and sister, and it turns out that the brother he's going to be heading to Venice. Was it Venice? To study to be an architect as well. So he kind of reluctantly takes this kid under his wing and decides to go show him around at some of his favorite spots and kind of give him a history lesson about these specific buildings and the architects behind them. And then the wife kind of takes care of the sister who has some sort of ailment. So she agrees to watch over her. And I got to tell you,
they learned from each other.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
They learned so much.
There's so much learning from each other. This kid, the brother, he's 18 years old, but he talks as if he's like some sort of, he's like a 75-year-old philosopher or something. He's wise beyond his years.
Oh my goodness. So much so.
He just has life figured out.
He's got it. At 18, he's got it all figured out. And he ends up teaching the one that was supposed to be teaching.
Yep. It's a little role reversal there.
Reversals.
I love it at the end, towards the end, they even just flat out say it.
I really wish that they would have kept that out. Because I was completely on board with it. I was enjoying myself, and then they sort of threw that in there. It's like, God damn, that is cliched as fuck.
I actually liked all of the stuff with him just showing him walking around to the different places and talking about the architects and the specific style of architecture and why they did it, the history lesson part of it.
Yeah, the history lesson part of it is handled quite well, and I was completely enthralled by all of that. The architecture, the architects behind it, he's going into Borromini and what was the other one?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Bernini and Bernini.
yeah, and the way that those architects back in that time kind of parallel the same storyline that's going on in the present day
Right.
with Alexander Schmidt, who plays he's the character, the renowned architect,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to be Borromini, but he couldn't do it, and now he's trying to do it at the age of 50. He's trying to completely go in a new direction, and some ghosts of the past become unveiled. There's just a lot of parallels working in this story.
Right.
A lot going on.
Yeah, there is. It felt like it felt like Compton's interactive encyclopedia, but with a plot. It felt like I was
Yes.
just traveling. It felt like I was just on a trip. I was traveling through these places, and I had this great
It's
tour
very
guide.
much it's very much just large portions of it are very much just a travelogue film where they're just showing you the architecture of Italy, and they're just giving you, the history lesson here and there, and but then he ties in this whole, trying to come to terms with the past and the present and how to incorporate the past and not completely cut it off. And then there's this whole other section of just so much talk about light, so much light, which anytime that this happens in a film where someone brings in this like spiritual angle
Mm-hmm.
that at the same without completely cutting me off and disconnecting me because I'm not spiritual whatsoever and I really have no time for it, and it bores the hell out of me and I have no interest in it whatsoever. If they're able to incorporate that without distancing me at the same time, I always see it as a plus
Yeah.
because I thought it was quite exceptional the way that they brought in the spiritual angle of
They
it.
they brought it in, but I thought it was very light. It was like a light spiritual angle. They didn't. I
It
didn't.
was yeah,
I didn't feel
it
like they
wasn't
were like hammering you over the head
exactly.
with it. But
He
go
gets his point across. He gets his point across
right.
without being heavy-handed with it.
So I had going back to the travelogue scenes with the two guys. Anytime I liked all that, but anytime they would jump to the two women, I was tuning out during all of that stuff. I didn't find that side of it to be interesting or enthralling at all, because when you take away the locations and the beautiful architecture, you're just left with two emotionless characters talking about things that mean nothing to me and I don't care about at all.
But that played a part too with the story because there's so much talk of sacrifices and everything that plays in there, and that kind of plays into the main storyline that's going on between the architect and the young budding architect.
Yeah.
So to me it kind of worked, but at the same time, yeah, I can see what you're saying because it was losing
Thankfully,
me a little bit, and especially the reverse shot discussions,
oh
which
yeah,
you
there's a
had to
lot
keep
of
in,
those.
you had to keep in mind that that makes up like 75% of
Yeah.
this movie. And for me, I understand the formal aspect of this, but at the same time, it's much like hypnosis, where it's like a pocket watch just ticking left to right. When it cuts to the one guy talking, that's the pocket watch at the left, and then when it cuts back to the other guy,
Yeah.
it's the pocket watch at the right,
We're
and it
watching
just
t-
lulls it
we're watching
lulls me
tennis. It's like watching tennis.
just emotionless lobbing of a ball back and forth, and
Yeah,
you're just like tick tock, and it just lulls you into this like deep sleep.
yeah, and it's
Even though that I'm fully invested in what they're talking about, and I find it very interesting, it captures my attention. It's it's enthralling in a way to me, but at the same time, it's lulling me to sleep at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
I do. It's a very bizarre experience to be in.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt. I,
The eyes getting heavy, and I'm just like, this is interesting, but at the same time, I'm kind of
yeah.
falling asleep.
That's exactly how I felt. I didn't Some of the conversations I didn't find interesting at all, and several times while watching it, I thought to myself, I'm going to forget everything that they said as soon as the credits start to roll. And by the end of the year, I'm not going to remember anything about this movie other than there's some really cool shots of architecture.
Yeah, and that's another thing to speak on. The shots of the architecture, it breaks off because it's very rigid, during all this like human interaction, extremely rigid, emotionless, like you said numerous times, which I completely agree with. But when it gets into the architecture, I mean, there are some beautiful camera movements.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a deep reverence for the buildings that you get to see. And man, it just combs over it. And my God, is it inspiring. It's just so beautiful to look at, which I
Yeah.
thought was handled quite well.
Yeah. I thought all that stuff was fantastic.
Yeah, it's just, oh man, it just makes you want to go to Italy.
Yes. Pretty much all this and spring make me want to go to Italy right now. I just want to go there and just hang out for a while.
And what did you think of because there's so much talk of, so much dialogue centering on like the kind of reconciling the past with the present and not cutting off the past, but incorporating it into the present with the architecture and everything. What did you think of towards the end of the movie?
Yeah,
where they kind of start tying in this like the old-timey aspect of the storyline?
Well, I don't really like how they did it. There was sort of an extended sequence towards the end that pretty much like is like a straight up reenactment of something that occurs. And to me, it felt like I was watching a History Channel show where where there's the narrator that's describing what happened, and then we're seeing a reenactment of that. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
I would agree. The thing that interested me the most during those sequences is that they never showed the people.
That was interesting. Sure, that they just showed their hands. I think it was just their hands, right?
Yeah, just the hands and the light. This movie's all about light. Got to get that light in there.
I thought that was interesting, but I just felt like that sequence took too long. Even though I get maybe Eugene Green was trying to get that story in there and was just kind of struggling on how to incorporate it, because like you said, everything that happens in the past with these architects parallels what happens in the present as well. And that, I think that story is a big part because of what happened with his partner, I guess. Was his partner or his classmate or whatever? I think that is like a kind of a direct reflection of what happened there.
Yes, very much so. Because he was just like a true artist that just effortlessly, combined everything that he was trying to attempt to do with his entire career, his entire life, but he was never able to do it. And then, jealousy reared its ugly head and,
Yeah, so I can get why he wanted to incorporate that story, the little anecdote, but I don't know. I just don't think that the way he did it was the best way. And that's not the only part in the film where they kind of go back to old-timey hands with with the old clothing and stuff. I just wasn't that didn't do it for me.
This is what, number one, this is my first Eugene Green movie.
Same here.
I'm sure it is for you as well. And I don't know how it is for you, but this one's sticking with me for quite some time.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because at first, within the first 15 minutes, I was like, "Oh boy, this is gonna be a snooze. This is gonna be a snooze fest." But there's just something about it that got its hooks into me, and by the end, I was like, "Wow, I actually kind of like that movie." It was a surprise.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised as well because much like you, at the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go."
Here we go.
I'm not into this. The emotionless line delivery.
Yeah.
Very robotic. I don't understand it. I can't get into it. I keep trying, and I'm just like, oh boy, here we go. Close close to 2 hours of this. But, at the same time, at the end of the movie, there's a part of me that just wanted to write it off like, well, that was kind of a waste of time. But then, an hour later, 2 hours later, day later, I keep coming back to it. I keep thinking about it. And like you said, it's somehow it got its hooks into me.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie, a lot more than what you initially think, because you start recalling some of those conversations, and you start recalling some of the themes and the parallels and stuff, and you're just like, oh, okay,
yeah, and it's one of those things where none of the dialogue in this movie is extraneous. There's nothing superfluous going on
right
in the discussions. Everything parallels something, and all of it has importance in one way or another.
I think
it's deceptively simple.
Yeah.
Like at first glance, it seems really, really simple. Like, okay, this guy is at an impasse. He's trying to move on. He wants to go into a next phase of his career, and he's having trouble with it. He goes to Italy to get inspiration. Okay. But then, everything sort of plays against each other, with each other, and it just sticks with you.
I think the incorporating the history behind the architecture and the lives of the old architects from hundreds of years ago, I think that plays a big part in it too, in making it a more complex movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of universal with, it doesn't matter what time period you're in, you're trying to progress as a society, but at the same time you're trying not to completely destroy and completely destroy the past, the history of where you're building, or what, wherever you're trying to take your society as a whole. And they get into that a little bit, especially when Eugene Green himself shows up like towards the end on the park bench.
Yeah,
talking about what was it, the Chaldeans?
Yes, the Aramaic.
Essentially driving the point home.
Yep.
It's a lot to unload.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie. I will still say that it is not for most people. I think that most people will just find it too dry.
Oh, yeah. No, you have to be in the right mood to watch this.
Yeah, fortunately, I just happened to be kind of in the right mind space to watch this yesterday. I don't know. It just kind of worked out where I was into the idea of watching this. I think under normal circumstances, now I did have the opportunity to go to a press screening of this. I think if I went to the press screening and saw it in a theater environment, I would probably have fallen asleep. I think it may have happened. But I will say, honestly, I did not fall asleep during any of this.
Ooh,
I sat through the whole thing, start to finish.
Look at that. Oh, boy.
It was one of those deals, though, where several times I feel like my eyes probably just glazed over, and I was reading the subtitles, yet I wasn't processing them. Does that ever happen to you where you're watching a movie and you're reading the subtitles, but you're not really...
No.
You're not really, hearing the conversation in your head.
No. It's just happening.
That happened. Yeah, that happened a few times, but... I just wish there was. I just don't like the style of this movie. The way that the conversations were displayed, and how it seemed like everybody spoke in fragments, and I just don't like that. Not digging on that, but
I know, and I keep trying. I keep trying to understand this idea.
Some people really like that style.
I know, they're really into it.
But I just cannot get behind it. I like things looking and sounding natural and real, and that makes me more interested in what's happening, because I can imagine these characters as real people. But,
yeah.
Let's go ahead and give this bad boy a score. Did you have anything else to add?
I do not, no.
Okay.
And when we get to scores, this is one of those where it's like the initial score, I know it's going to change drastically.
Mine's not going to change.
For me, this is one of those that you have to sit with for a while.
It is. I agree. My initial score, we'll say initial score on this one. My initial score is a 6 out of 10. I don't think that's going to change. I'm just going to give it a 6.
I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10.
There you go. La Sapienza playing in New York right now. I don't know what the release schedule is for this. Keep an eye out for it. If it does sound interesting to you, I will say if you are a fan of architecture and are in the mood for a lesson in the history of architecture, check it out. There is a ton of really interesting information about some of this ancient architecture in here, and I thoroughly enjoyed all that.
It's very scholarly.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. We're talking about Spring. This is the, at least for me, much anticipated follow-up to Resolution from directors Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. I have the synopsis here. A young man in a personal tailspin flees the U.S. to Italy, where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark primordial secret. Now, I will say, when I heard about this movie, I put the blinders on with everything. Even when I posted trailers on the site, I refused to read the synopsis. I refused to watch the trailer. Somehow, amazingly, I was able to go into this movie completely cold, knowing nothing.
Same here.
So,
goodness.
I'm going to give a warning to those that have not seen the movie yet and are listening to this review. I highly recommend going into it completely cold.
Yes.
Knowing nothing.
I agree.
So, with that warning out of the way, let's go ahead and start it with you, Kevin. What did you think of Spring? Oh, maybe I should go over the cast list real quick. We have Lou Taylor Pucci and Nadia Hilker as the main two people, but I do love how Jeremy Gardner was in there as the Tommy, the friend.
Vinnie Caran as well, and Cage
was okay.
Cage in there.
I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Cage gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah. All right.
Which was kind of fun to watch.
It was. And I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure. Kevin, what'd you think of Spring?
I'm still processing this one. I'm not 100% sure what I think about this. The one thing that I will say is I think it takes entirely too long to get to its main focus, its main storyline.
It is, yeah.
Just kind of meanders for a while and, just wants to be a comedy, it seems like, for much too long for me.
Real quickly, I just want to say that's the only gripe I have with this movie is exactly what you just said. I do think it takes a little bit too long to get where it's going, but go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning portion of it I did find funny, and I enjoyed it. But then it goes into when he finally shows up in Italy, and then he hangs out with the his English buddies or whatever the hell you want to call them that he meets up with or kind of gets brought into. I don't know what point that section of the film had. It added nothing to me. I'm just like, where are we going? What are we doing?
I guess it was just him looking for companionship and meeting people along the way and forming these kind of disposable relationships, friendships with these people.
To me, that section just didn't work. I don't understand the need to have that in there.
I didn't mind it.
Unless I'm missing something.
I didn't mind it because I actually didn't hate the characters. Most of the time in movies like this, I just hate everybody. And in this movie, even though the English guys were kind of loudmouths, I still liked them. I thought that they were funny and they seemed like decent people.
Not really, but let's move on. Because I hated them. Once the story gets going, there is a large amount of intrigue going on here. Just complete, like, what the hell is happening? You see these transformations, or whatever you want to call them, and you really have no idea where the hell this is going until, finally everything kind of gets uncovered and everything's explained, and it becomes a very interesting romance movie. not really the horror at all. Just it took me completely by
Yeah,
surprise.
it is a bit of a genre bender. It mixes in elements of horror and sci-fi and romance. Definitely has a Lovecraft vibe to it with the tentacles and things. uh yeah, it's a
Oh
really
goodness.
it's a tough movie to categorize. You can't really pigeonhole this movie.
No, you
It's
can't.
a toughie. I see a lot of people drawing comparisons to Richard Linklater, and I definitely can see a Before Sunrise vibe, but there's it's a
Sure.
little bit more
Sure.
interesting than that.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Once again, completely surprised by the look of the film,
Yeah,
the cinematography in this. Oh my
yeah,
goodness, just shot after shot of beauty,
yeah.
which you don't really expect going into a horror movie. At least I don't.
No, but that's kind of one thing that this movie does is it really does kind of defy your expectations.
It really does. And I was much like you. I went in completely cold. I didn't read any synopsis. I didn't watch any trailers. I wasn't reading any reviews, anything. So going into this, I had no idea what the hell I was to expect. And it still surprised
Yeah,
me,
and
even with that being said.
it is more of a love story than it is a horror movie.
There's really there's a very small amount of horror element in here, which I was expecting more.
I didn't know. Yeah,
Just
I didn't know what to expect in that because with Resolution, if you look back at Resolution, there's not a whole lot of horror in that movie either. It's not really
no,
turned.
but there's a lot of mystery.
And I thought that there was a lot of mystery in this movie too, because I was pretty much the whole time I was trying to figure out where this is going and what the hell is going on with this woman that he meets.
Yeah.
A lot of intrigue.
Yeah, you start asking a lot of questions. And then kind of unfortunately they explain everything towards the end, just flat out, just straight out. He essentially
Yeah,
just says, "Explain it to me," and then she does.
but
But again,
it's
I can't really see any other way
there,
of getting across what's going on
and you get
outside of just verbal
but
exposition.
that's the thing. If we're imagining this as a real life relationship that is budding, and the guy finds out that this is happening, he walks in on the same situation that he sees. Of course, he's gonna be like, you gotta explain this to me. What is going on? It would be difficult to explain the situation in any other way other than to have her
Yeah,
just lay it out
exactly.
there. But even that, I feel like the way that they handled it, she just breezed over it. I still had a lot of questions. It's like she gave him the Cliff Notes version of what's going on here. And by the end of the movie, I had so many more questions, as I'm sure he did too, which is one of the things that I liked so much is after he found out what was going on with her, the questions that he asked I thought were really funny, and it kind of it gave their relationship this kind of new dynamic where he's like, I don't want to give anything away. I can't. Where he's like, just the things that he's asking her about her past, I thought it was funny
Yeah,
because they're like kind of light questions, but it's like questions that I would probably ask too.
definitely. Because right off the bat, you're kind of thinking, Evan, what are you doing? Why are you staying? But at the same time, you do kind of think like, there's probably a part of me that would stay too.
Yeah,
Just because what the fuck, you gotta find out what the fuck is going on.
you got to explore this. This
This
is a
is a once in
yeah,
a
this is a
lifetime
once in a
opportunity.
lifetime opportunity. You got to see this thing through.
The rational part of you is saying, get as far away as possible. Just get out of there, because this is terrifying. But at the same time, curiosity is like, well, you gotta stick around. This is never going to happen
Yeah,
again. You gotta try and find out as much as possible.
yeah. I like the scene where he's having the conversation with her, and the thing's coming up behind him, and the tentacle thing with the hooks or the teeth or whatever.
and she's just taking her good old time, and he's like, kind of speed it up,
It looked like it was going to get her, get him.
Because your face is decaying as we speak.
That was funny too, because it looked like her eyeball was about to pop out of her head.
Oh man!
I know that we're just glossing over really what this movie's all about, but it's really hard to discuss without spoiling anything.
You can't get into it, but just know that love conquers all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what it's all about. I mean, it's essentially the same thing as Interstellar. Like towards the end, where just love is what writes everything, and the over exposition of everything. But the funny thing is where in Interstellar, people are using that to completely derail the film and talking about how terrible it is. In Spring, they'll be like, "Oh, this is different and amazing."
I don't know if that's exactly why people were complaining about Interstellar.
Oh yeah, that's all they complain about when it comes to Christopher Nolan is his use of exposition.
Well,
and how he just comes out and says shit. But that's exactly what happens in Spring.
It happened more organically in this movie. It happened.
I will give you that.
It happened in a more realistic setting or not realistic, natural setting where it would have occurred if this was a real conversation that the people were having.
I would agree with that.
But again, I don't have a big problem with Nolan's exposition.
No, I don't either. It'll be fun to see.
This was just a very surprising movie to me to see where it was going and all of the elements that it incorporated into it. It does have a little bit of everything. There's a fair amount of comedy in it too. The various reactions that this guy, poor Evan, just he.
And my favorite just being Angelo just dropping jewels of wisdom throughout, especially when the police show up.
At the run, yeah, he's like, "Should I run? Should I run?"
See.
Yeah, that was funny. I gotta say though, Evan had probably the worst week of anyone ever.
Yeah, it's kind of bad string of things happening.
Because everything in the movie happens over the course of pretty much a week. Because he only knows the girl for 5 days, I think, and he meets her what seems to be only a few days after getting to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So
almost like the second day.
Yeah. Oh, he sees her. Sees her, I think, maybe on the second day, and then he actually, or no, whatever. it's
just I did enjoy the way that they kind of subvert these ideas of romantic relationships with the meeting the parents,
and
the way that was handled, discussion of like past partners, which I thought was
yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to a few minutes ago when he was asking all the questions about how it works with her affliction. We'll call it an affliction.
Yeah, it's definitely an affliction. It's something.
What did you think of the effects work? Because there is not a lot of effects work going on, but there's a significant amount of makeup effects and creature effects happening.
I thought most of it was quite exceptional.
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought the only thing that kind of threw me, and I don't know if I just thought this or if this was an actual thing. Was there CGI birds at one point?
CGI birds,
like flying overhead.
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that they were CG.
I don't know if it was just me, but I just thought that was kind of odd. That the effects work everywhere else is fantastic, and then there's these artificial looking birds flying overhead.
I didn't notice that. I saw it in the theater, and I feel like if it was really bad, I would have noticed because I do tend to notice, but I don't know. I didn't pick up on that. Everything else I thought looked quite good. I liked the
especially the main transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to call that, that was something else.
Yeah. It's pretty gross.
That was terrifying and just weird. Just once you and it came at a perfect time too, because at least for me, it seemed like I was kind of getting a handle on what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happened, and I'm just like kind of throw my hands up in the air, like I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
I just like I thought I understood what was happening. This is completely out of left field. I don't know. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yep, which was great. I love it. I love it. I love
Which
it when
I'm
movies do
pretty
that.
sure that that's what they were going for, and it
Yeah,
worked.
I love the. Are you a vampire, werewolf, witch, zombie, or alien?
And the fact that she doesn't really know, I think, was quite interesting as well. Is that she's had this for so long, but even she doesn't completely understand what's going on. She's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of romance and horror elements, but there's some really heavy stuff in this too. The movie deals with the concept of death a lot too, with both of his parents, and then essentially what she's trying to do is escape death constantly,
Hmm.
and then what happened with her family. It's
She has to choose. She has to make a
right.
sacrifice.
So
There's actually a lot. It's kind of bizarre that there's some parallels between this and La
other
Sapienza.
than the Italy, yeah.
Yeah, Italy, and there was, both of them talk about sacrifices. Both of them kind of touch on wasting,
Yeah, and
which I thought was very
I
odd.
think at the end of the day they are both love stories too. They're both
Hmm.
slightly unconventional love stories. It
In letting in the light, it's very odd. I thought that never in a million years did I think that, hey, there would be some correlations between spring and La Sapienza, but here
here we
we
are.
are.
There are definite correlations.
It's very bizarre.
Multiple correlations are to be had, Kevin.
Who knew? Who expected that to happen?
I would just say this is a movie where you just have to trust me on it. Go see Spring. I can't say anything about it. I don't want to say anything about it because it would be ruining. I think we probably already said too much. But
We did.
but
We definitely did.
go see it. You will enjoy it. And again, I will say that one of my favorite things about this movie, which is another thing that I like so much about Resolution, is I could get behind the characters, even the ones like Jeremy Gardner's character. He's not a particularly likable guy, but I still kind of liked him. And I thought that the characters were so strong in this movie, and they were fully developed, and they were. I think that it's so rare that we have characters like this in horror movies that I love it when it happens.
Horror movies with likable characters.
Yeah, and it just and
It
developed
doesn't happen often.
characters.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I liked so much about It Follows, was that the characters were actually real people. Like it felt like they were fully developed, likable characters that could exist in the real world, not these cartoon characters, which I'll be talking about a little bit later in the show.
Cartoony douchebags.
Yeah. So I highly recommend Spring. I loved it. I'm gonna go ahead. Kevin, we'll start with you. What are you gonna give Spring out of 10?
Mm. I'm gonna give it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
You had to one up me.
Well, I liked it more than you, so
Oh, how do you know?
I don't know. I just think I
Jerk.
did. I think I did.
Probably. You probably did.
I might even.
It's
It's one
different.
that even.
It's different.
It might even end up being an 8 as the year progresses, because it is one that really the only knock, like I said, the only knock I have against it is that it is a fairly meandering build up to what happens. That there is.
Yeah, that was my main problem with it too. And maybe the only other thing, which isn't, I mean, it's not a huge criticism, but the seemed to be a bit too testosterone heavy for me. A bit too much of the bros
Yeah, but that's kind of.
going on.
Yeah. I think I did.
That's it. But it's not a huge. I mean, the main thing for me was it taking entirely too long to get to its main focus.
I think it is. It is a little bro heavy, but looking at the character of Evan and what he's been through, I think that he's just trying to escape, and I think that that's
Yeah.
the best way he knows how, by getting drunk with his buds and
Broing
throwing
it
it
up.
up. Yeah,
Broning up and, punching Cage in the face 14 times.
that happens early on in the movie, and it's not. a big spoiler or anything, but the way that happens was one of the most realistic fight scenes / punches that I've seen in a movie in a long time, where it wasn't this like exaggerated, you know, wasn't like an exaggerated punch noise. It looked and sounded and felt like a real, like what happens when you really punch someone in the face. Like he instantly hurt his hand. His hand was like fucked up right off the bat. It didn't make some loud cracking sound. It just...
Well, plus he's got that gold grill on. I mean, imagine punching a gold grill. Yeah. It's bad enough punching teeth.
Knock that shit right out of his face, though.
Oh, he picked up like 4 teeth.
Yeah. I do like that they used that as kind of one of the deciding factors in getting him out of the country was that happened.
Yeah, you got to change up your life.
Yeah. Spring, check it out. It is available on VOD now. Obviously, I do recommend seeing it in the theater if it's playing in your area. Let's go ahead and move on to some of what we've been watching. Kevin, start off this week.
All right.
Do it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so after thoroughly enjoying Wild Canaries and seeing a number of people make the
comparison,
the connection that it's essentially Manhattan Murder Mystery by Woody Allen from 1993, I decided, hey, let's give that a go. Let's do that. Let's find out how similar they are. And they're essentially exactly the same fucking movie. Pretty much. There's some slight variations, but man, they are essentially the same. And guess what? Just as much fun. It's Woody Allen being playful and fun. Manhattan Murder Mystery. So, I mean, if you enjoyed Wild Canaries, you're more than likely going to enjoy Manhattan Murder Mystery. It's just a Woody Allen spin on it. Or I guess I should say that Wild Canaries is a Lawrence Michael Levine spin on Woody Allen's take. Whatever the hell you want to call it. But, I mean, the comedy is there throughout. Him and Diane Keaton, just fantastic chemistry. I could watch them all day. Just those two bickering and arguing. The back and forth that they have is fantastic. And much like Wild Canaries, once the murder mystery kind of pops up and you have the sleuthing and the detective work and everything, the comedy doesn't take a back seat. It's always in the forefront. And it's just an enjoyable time throughout. So if you liked Wild Canaries, you need to check out Manhattan Murder Mystery.
How'd you see this?
Simple as that. I got this on DVD.
Okay. Check it out. Manhattan Murder Mystery. I think it's probably regarded as one of Woody Allen's finer works, right?
I think so. I mean, Diane Keaton.
Well, you can't go wrong with Diane Keaton.
I just love watching Diane Keaton.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Sticking with the Italian theme, right now at they're doing a Giallo film festival here, and I went to check it. It just started this weekend. It's going to be, I think, 10 days and 12 films. I went to see Dario Argento's Phenomena, a.k.a. Creepers, last night. It's from 1985. Never saw this before. I'm just going to read you the synopsis here. A 14-year-old Jennifer Connelly plays a young girl with the ability to communicate with insects. Newly transferred to a Swiss boarding school roiled by a string of murders, she joins forces with an entomologist, played by Donald Pleasance, and his trusted chimp to find the killer before she becomes the next victim. Mixing elements of giallo, horror, and the supernatural, Phenomena is one of Argento's greatest films. If that synopsis doesn't get you on board with seeing this movie, I don't know what will. It is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. It is just this random mishmash of ideas.
I love the fact that it's a trusted chimp. This chimp has proven himself time and time again.
I don't even understand.
I'm just completely on board with that. I just wanted to be a trusted chimp.
So Donald Pleasance is in a wheelchair. He was in a car accident, or he was hit by a car years prior, and it left him in a wheelchair, and the chimp is his kind of helper, his helper chimp.
Are you kidding me?
The chimp, I don't know why the chimp's in the movie. There's no reason for the chimp being in the movie.
How does he help? How does the chimp help?
Donald Pleasance has a laser pointer, and he'll shine the laser pointer on various things, and the chimp will go get him things or open doors. He's a really smart chimp.
And
the chimp does end up killing someone with one of those old timey razor blades, the shaving razors, the straight razors.
Oh my
He does
God.
kill somebody with it.
Do you have a chimp kill someone with a razor?
There's also
like that's all you have to say.
There's also a little person in some sort of a little person dressed up as a child that is wearing some sort of monster makeup that kills people with a giant pike, like a medieval pike.
What in the world is happening? You didn't even get to. She talks to insects.
She does talk to insects. She is able to communicate and not control, but sort of ask them to do things, and they'll
suggest.
Yeah, she kind of like when she needs help, the insects will come help her. It's
How do insects
usually
help her?
By swarming onto the people that are trying to hurt her.
This sounds unbelievable.
Also, when it's funny because when they decide that they're gonna catch this killer, Donald Pleasance is like, the two greatest detectives in the world are about to catch this killer, and then he looks at Jennifer Connelly and he's like, you and that fly. And she uses a fly to help track down where the killer is, because the fly knows where the corpses are buried, and the fly guides her to
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, dude, you have to see this movie. And
now I'm afraid to ask because this might take it over the top and I'll lose all control of reality. But is there any point in time where the chimp fights the insects?
No, because they're on the same side.
Thank God.
The chimps and the insects are on the same side. The chimp's a good guy. So
I don't know if I would be able to handle that if you said
one
yes.
of the funny things about this movie is it completely randomly plays rock and roll music, specifically metal. Motorhead, Iron Maiden, some other metal bands in there at completely inappropriate and random times. I mean, I'm telling you, when you see it, you're just like, what? It'll make you laugh hysterically. The whole theater erupted at several moments in this because it is so random when Argento decides to put in this rock and roll music. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's not even during a big action scene or a suspense scene. He just throws it in willy-nilly. Random Motorhead, random Iron Maiden. And you're just like, what? It'll catch you off guard. The sound mixing is terrible in it, too. It's way louder than everything else, so it drowns everything out. It's awful. I will say, though, if you're in New York, I highly recommend checking out this series. It's at the Anthology Film Archives. It's going to be over the next 10 days, and all of the films that they are presenting are the original 35 millimeter prints of the films. So we got to see it in 35 millimeter. It was awesome.
Well, guess what I got to see on my computer screen?
What?
Dead End Driving.
Yeah. Dead End Driving.
So I decided, it's time to take another stab at one of your suggestions from your movie challenge for this year. The old exploitation.
Yeah, one of my favorite styles.
Yeah, I figured it was about time to dip my toes into one of the other genres that you presented me, and this just sounded ridiculous. So I was like, let's go, dive head first into this one. I don't really know what the fuck this is.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's something, isn't it?
It's like post-apocalyptic, but I'm not 100% sure what they're going for. And much like Spring, it takes forever until it gets to its main focus, where everything before it just kind of seems like a waste of time. And then, it finally gets to the drive-in theater, where apparently this is turned into it says that it's turned into a concentration camp, but it didn't feel like that at all. Just felt like free-range prison.
Yeah, it was like a summer camp.
Some sort. Yeah, it's not like there's no labor. They're not forced to do anything. They just sort of lounge around, and apparently they have makeup, like an endless supply of makeup, so they can, do their paint their faces up and do ridiculous hairstyles and whatnot, and just ridiculous clothing. Everyone's ridiculous looking in this movie, except for Krabs.
One of the reasons I love this movie is because it completely encapsulates how bad guys looked in 80s action movies. They all looked like that, you know. They had the kind of they're all punk rock look. Warriors. It was all it was all derived.
The bad guys.
It was all derived from Mad Max, I think.
Yeah, and everyone is just a ridiculous version, especially the bad guys that Krabs comes in contact with, the other members that are trying to haze the new guy. Mm-hmm. Especially the guy that seems like a reject from the young ones.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I don't understand the point of any of this. Like, I mean, the director seems to bring up some things that, you know, some serious discussion points that he wants to bring up, especially, you know, when they bring in I guess the Asian immigrants.
Yeah.
And it goes into this like white supremacy type storyline, but that's never like fully developed,
right,
or even explored really, outside of just like, hey, they shouldn't be here. And then it's mostly just Krabs trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get out over and over again. And he keeps trying to save his girlfriend for some reason, which I don't understand because she's a terrible person and she's just dead weight, really. And once the film was over and the credits were rolling, I had no idea what the hell I just watched.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't get it. I don't understand the point of it. I don't know what I was supposed to get. Everything was just ridiculous.
There's some good stunt work in that movie, though.
There is some good stuff. There's an explosion, which is entirely too big.
It's huge.
What happens? It blows up like the entire grounds. And all it consists of is like one car driving into another car. And in some way, shape, or form, that results in the biggest explosion I've seen on
probably
film.
A chain reaction. Probably a chain reaction situation, because there's a lot of cars in that drive-in.
There is a lot of cars. Yes, you are correct. There's just cars everywhere. And they just keep bringing cars in, and I have no idea what the hell that's supposed to represent. Like, I don't get this whole car business. I don't understand it. And they're salvaging cars. Yeah. And there's car boys, which they just laugh maniacally for some reason.
Because you always...
And that's it. That's all how they develop. That's as much as they're
in the
developed.
80s, you always have to have the laughing goons. That's... I think that was just the way it was in the 80s. You always have the one
and then there's
guy that laughed all the time.
And then out of nowhere, it just cuts to Krabs, like, just driving through a wasteland for some reason. And then he gets attacked by car boys. And he gets away. And you're thinking, what was the point of that? Why was that there? What is happening? Is there a movie here? Like, what are we doing?
It's ridiculous.
It's kind of entertaining, but at the same time, it just kind of gets old after a while.
Well, actually, on that same list, there's another. You have another one on your list from the director Brian Trenchard Smith, Turkey Shoot. I think Turkey Shoot.
Wait, hold up. What was the name?
Turkey Shoot.
I also wonder who's the guy on the poster. Who's that guy?
He's the bad guy, right? Is
he? I don't remember seeing him at all.
I think he's supposed to be the bad guy.
What, the guy with the flock of seagulls hair?
I think so.
The chubby guy? Which I thought was hilarious, him being like the leader of the bad guys. Was a chubby flock of seagulls reject.
Brian Trenchard Smith also did Stunt Rock, which is one I almost gave you. But Stunt Rock's not even like a movie really at all. It's just like I don't think there's any plot to it at all. It's rock and roll music and then various stunts. That's it.
Nice. That actually sounds kind of fun.
Stunt Rock. He also did BMX Bandits, which is Nicole Kidman's debut.
Oh my god.
And he did Drive Hard, which just came out last year with Thomas Jane and John Cusack, which I have a Blu-ray review up for, and it was really bad. It's terrible. I love Ozploitation. I because I think it's heavy on action. It's like a lot heavier on action than some of the other like American exploitation and stuff. They really go big with the stunts, and I think that it's kind of fun. I actually think that you'll genuinely like Road Games, though. The other one I gave you with Stacy Keach. I think you'll like that one.
It's just they're funny.
Oh yeah,
they are funny.
None of them are. Well, I would argue that Mad Max 2 is actually like a pretty good movie, but most of them are not. They're not good movies. They're just fun.
Gotcha.
One movie that I saw that is not a good movie, and it's a little bit fun, is Zombeavers, which came out this week. Right. I had very little to no expectations going into this one. I don't think you're really supposed to have any kind of expectations.
No one. I want to meet someone that actually has expectations.
So basically, it's exactly what you imagine. It's the beginning of the film features Bill Burr and John Mayer. The singer, John Mayer, driving a truck full of toxic waste down the road. Bill Burr is driving, and he is looking at his phone, and he doesn't see a deer walk in the middle of the road. He hits the deer, swerves, barrel of toxic waste falls off the back of the truck, lands into a beaver dam, mutates the beavers, turns them into giant zombie beavers, and they terrorize a group of 20-something assholes that are vacationing at a lake home.
Fantastic.
It's ridiculous, and it's not even enjoyable. It's not even entertaining until the end, when you find out that anyone that gets scratched or bitten by one of the zombeavers turns into a zombeaver. Then it gets fun when the actual humans start turning into beavers.
How? How so?
Mostly, they just grow giant beaver teeth, and it's ridiculous.
I was hoping that was what
they also grow giant beaver tails.
The tail?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So then it turns into a fun. It's a movie that's like Piranha 3D or Big Ass Spider, where they're kind of poking fun at these creature features. And I actually liked it. I thought that it was funny and was entertained from the point where they start turning into zombeavers themselves. I was into that. I thought it was ridiculous and over the top and funny. Everything before that I wasn't into it. The setup took way too long because every single one of these characters are horrible, and I hated them, and I just couldn't wait for them to all get killed by these beavers. And that
they try and spend time on backstory.
It just really brought it down for me because it was too over the top. The characters were just, none of them were likable at all. But again, it really kind of pulled it together by the end, and I thought it was pretty fun and goofy and bloody and stupid fun. It's way better. Drawing comparisons to some of these other kind of goofy monster movies, it's not better. Piranha 3D is still, in my opinion, the best out of the bunch. I think that Big Ass Spider is also more fun than this, but this is way better than Piranha 3 Double D or any of the Sharknado movies.
Gotcha.
So that's Zombeavers. It is. You can get this on demand right now.
Where else are you going to find a film podcast that discusses La Sapienza, Zombeavers, Spring, Dead End Drive-In, and Manhattan Murder Mystery?
Diversity. That's what we're all about. Diversity.
Everyone gets an equal chance.
You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
I will quickly recommend The Jinx on HBO. If you haven't seen it, the life and deaths of Robert Durst. I know everybody's talking about this. And
I gotta check that out.
I think probably for most people that haven't seen it yet, it's been ruined. It's been spoiled. Just real life spoiled it. And I think that that's unfortunate because when I saw the finale last Sunday, the finale was on.
I think so.
The end of that movie blew me away. I've never seen a documentary that had an ending like that I was genuinely shocked at that. I mean, it was nuts. It was just insane. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the TV.
Oh, boy.
And more specifically, what I was hearing. So, if you already know what happens to Robert Durst, if you've been following the news, and you probably do know what's going on, it sucks, but I think you'll still enjoy the documentary. Honestly, though, you don't need to see the whole thing because it is I want to say it's a 6-part documentary.
I think it's 5 or 6.
Yeah, so I don't think you need to see the whole series to really get the gist of what's going on. I think you could probably just see the first and the last episodes.
Yeah.
But even if you do watch the whole thing, it's still great filmmaking. So definitely check out The Jinx if you haven't seen it yet. And if you don't know what's going on with Robert Durst, try to put the blinders on and see The Jinx first, because it'll fucking blow your mind.
Yeah, good luck with that. Shit's everywhere.
Well, it's crazy. This movie, and he's the one that wanted to make the movie to begin with. He suggested it. It was his idea. Like, Andrew Jarecki didn't approach him about the documentary. It was the other way around.
No, destroyed by his own hubris.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's talk about some predictions. Last week, Insurgent. You said 34, I said 32. Actual 32, right on the money.
Fuck you.
The Gunman. You said 24, I said 36. Actual 14. Oof. Yeah, Gunman. Gunman, not too good. We do have a review for that up on the site. Blake reviewed that for us. He gave it a 4 out of 10. Boy. So that's that's not too good. Also have reviews for Zombeavers up there too, and by the time you listen to this, there'll be a review for La Sapienza.
Oh, thanks for the pressure.
Well, this won't be coming out until sometime tomorrow afternoon anyway. Next week we have Get Hard.
Yay.
I'm gonna say 24 on that one.
I'm going 22.
And we also have Home, which is a DreamWorks, I think it's DreamWorks animated movie. Is it DreamWorks?
I have no idea. I never even heard
It's either
of this.
Sony or DreamWorks. I think it might be Sony, actually.
Oh, Aliens. Cool.
Yeah.
Jim Parsons and Rihanna.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Jim Parsons is the voice of the alien. Yeesh. That doesn't sound annoying. What are you thinking on this one?
I'm going to go 36.
36? I will say 42 on that one. Okay. In limited release, we have A Little Chaos, While We're Young, The Riot Club, Man from Reno, Nightlight, White God, which I recommend, 52 Tuesdays, and Serena. Kind of not a great week. Not a great week next week, honestly.
This week was
a really good week. Next week, not so much. On video on demand, we have Dead Rising Watchtower, which is based on the video game. I'll be checking it out just because I am a fan of the game. I do not have very high expectations for this. Well, it's premiering on Crackle, so it's free. It's not going to cost anything to check it out. Nightlight, The Riot Club. Well, never mind. I was going to say something about The Riot Club. I saw a screener for this, and I turned it off after like 10 minutes, but I might have to.
I heard that it's insufferable.
Yeah, I turned it off after 10 minutes. Apartment Trouble, Welcome to New York. That's stirring up a bit of controversy. Okay. Have you heard about this? So I have.
Yeah, but what they recut it.
IFC
talking about suing.
IFC recut it, and then Abel Ferrara is saying that he didn't authorize it, and blah blah blah. Really though, You and I saw the uncut version of that movie, and if they cut a little bit of it out, it's not going to change the story. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I know. The only thing I would be curious to see is what was actually cut out.
I'm
because, like you said, there's not.
If it's this, I could only assume that it's the sex scenes that they're cutting out. Probably some of the Depardieu balls.
But really, you're gonna cut that out? I thought that was like the selling point.
Depardieu balls.
Was the sex noises.
Yeah, I thought that was on the tagline of the poster. See Gerard Depardieu's balls in Welcome to New York. I don't know.
And grunting.
Yeah, lots and lots of guttural noises.
Grunting. Oh, yeah. Get it.
I wasn't a big fan of Welcome to New York. You can go back and listen to our review. We reviewed it a while ago on the show.
I don't understand the point of it.
That's stupid. The Barber also comes out.
Thank God.
That's actually playing at theaters around here next week. Doesn't look very good. DVD and Blu-ray. We have Digging Up the Marrow, which is a very, very light recommend. It's a found footage. Well, it's a mockumentary that's not actually that bad. The End of Violence, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. I'll probably be checking that out at some point just because I did force myself to watch the other ones.
Within the time that you said that title, I fell asleep.
The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
Yep. I took a quick cat nap.
Ugh. Into the Woods. I think we'll have a Blu-ray review of this one up. Song 1.
Okay.
That's the one with Anne Hathaway. That doesn't look very good. Three Night Stand and Unbroken.
Jeez.
So, yeah. Not a lot on the DVD front either.
Except for 2 Criterions.
All right. What you got?
You want to talk about some documentaries? We got the one that probably started it all, Thin Blue Line, coming out on Blu-ray. Yeah. This is all Earl Morris we got going on here. We got Thin Blue Line on Blu-ray coming out, which I'm pretty sure that you recommend highly because I know I do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because
it's one of the best documentaries ever made.
You want to talk about a documentary that shocks you. Just the way that ending was handled. Oh, my goodness. Fantastic cinema right there. And then 2 other documentaries from Earl Morris. We have Gates of Heaven, which is his debut feature about 2 pet cemeteries in Northern California and the people involved with them. Sounds interesting. And then Vernon, Florida from 1981. So you can get yourself 3 Earl Morris documentaries.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Earl Morris. So, and I have not seen those other 2.
And the Gates of Heaven, Vernon, Florida. That's a dual set.
Oh, cool.
And then it also comes with the 28-minute film by Les Blank, Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe, which is Herzog fulfilling a bet that was intended to inspire Morris to
I heard about that.
Which, Herzog eats his shoe. So, there you go.
I wanted to mention, but when I was talking about Phenomena, that is getting a re-release. It's getting a Blu-ray re-release on Synapse, and it's getting a 4K transfer too. So that's going to be coming out along with, I think, 2 other Argento movies. I think Suspiria and I can't remember the other one. There's another one that are coming out, I think, this year. So keep a lookout for that too.
Trust your chimps.
I think that will wrap it up for the day. Send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name is Adam Patterson, and we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.